This is Orlando Sentinel Now.
Hello, it's Tuesday, August 24th. Rich Pope here with Ryan Gillespie and Jason Garcia. They have our topics we're going to touch on today. We're going to talk about an investigation into Senate District 9. And then also we're going to find out about the FDA approving the Pfizer vaccine and what it means for the county. But we're going to start here with Jason Garcia, and we're going to talk about this case that's opening up at Senate District 9 as far as with Jason Berdor, Patricia Sigmund, and that was the last election. And there was a ghost candidate from what we understand, and what this means now that there's an investigation going on.
One of the lingering sort of controversies about that race was the fact that nobody seemed to be looking at it despite sort of a number of controversies all through it from the primary into the general. What we know now is the Florida Department of Law Enforcement says it has opened a preliminary investigation. So they draw a distinction between a full investigation and a preliminary investigation, but into what they've described as allegations in that race. They won't specify what allegations they are specifically investigating, but we do know that they had received a complaint specific to an obscure group that formed right before the primary election, attacked the Democratic frontrunner and tried to elevate a much lesser known Democratic opponent who would have been seen as a weaker potential opponent to the Republican who eventually won. We can be fairly confident that at a minimum they are looking into that group.
Yeah, let's touch on as far as the connection. There's a lot of things going on in Florida right now. Frank Artilli, South Florida, the Seminole tax collector, Joel Greenberg. How do these all connect? It seems like they all kind of have interminglings.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of overlap between all of those things. So what you have right now, you have a federal investigation, well, a couple of federal investigations, but one sort of centered on Seminole County and Joel Greenberg and some of the sort of public corruption that happened around his office. That obviously a lot of Seminole County figures overlap with, Seminole County state legislative races. So there's some overlap there. Then you have the Miami prosecutors in Miami-Dade County investigating, you had mentioned the ghost candidate in Senate District 9. There are actually three of these independent candidates who did no campaigning of their own, but were all promoted by the same dark money group with ads that seemed tailored to appeal to Democratic voters. So the Miami-Dade prosecutors in Miami-Dade County have arrested one of those independent candidates in a South Florida race and a former Republican lawmaker who they've charged with bribing that guy to run and helping him falsify election documents. And obviously, that ends up overlapping a lot with Senate District 9 because they were part of the same group promoting that independent candidate in South Florida, was also promoting the independent candidate in Central Florida. And now you have this sort of state / local level investigation that it also involves the state attorney's office, and that's looking directly at Senate District 9. So you're right, there is quite a bit of overlap here. It would certainly not be surprising to figure out to learn that the feds or Miami had stumbled into the same sort of thing that FDLE might stumble into too. So it'll be interesting to sort of watch how they all sort of work together and pass things back and forth.
Yeah, as someone has covered this closely all the way throughout, you say this is a preliminary investigation. Do you foresee it opening up further? It seems like there are a lot of things that are in question in this one.
All of these law enforcement agencies are sort of like black boxes, right? Sort of looking inside what they're doing. But there are a number of things that are certainly curious in that race. So particularly with this, we talked about this one group in the primary that drew a specific complaint. It spent $250,000, but never disclosed any donors. It just claimed to have appeared with $250,000. We've talked to one elections attorney who admittedly does a lot of work with Democrats, but an elections attorney who said, he can't think of a way that's legal. So that's something that needs review. There's also an issue with the name that was used as sort of a front name for this group. Nobody can seem to find this person. There was a Democratic legislator in South Florida who was upset that her picture and name were being used in ads by this group. She tried to file a civil action. They couldn't serve the complaint because the UPS store where this group is based out of in Miami, they didn't have a box agreement with the guy whose name is allegedly in charge of the committee. So that's another sort of area that probably deserves some scrutiny to figure out who exactly was involved.
Yeah, let's talk about the ghost candidate side of it. I mean, obviously not a legal thing for someone to run for office and, say, disappear. How would this be a crime?
There's a few things about that. So what we've seen in South Florida is one of the candidates, allegedly, according to authorities, was paid to run. And in addition, this person, the person that allegedly paid the candidate to run, also helped them falsify election documents. So those are clearly crimes. We've seen other issues around the Senate District 9 race. So I mentioned the same dark money group paid for the ads promoting all of these independent candidates, right? So this money was sort of filtered through two political committees. What we've learned out of the Miami investigation is the political committee that paid for the advertisements in the Central Florida race was chaired by this mid-20s young woman. She was a college student at the time. She just found out she was pregnant. She needed money. She was paid $4,000 to let by a GOP consultant to let them use her name on this committee. That $4,000 in payments wasn't, to our knowledge, reported anywhere as a campaign expense. In addition, this young woman said her name was signed to some documents without her permission. In other words, she did sign some papers herself, but others she did not sign, nor did she give someone permission to sign them on her behalf. So, well, you're right that there is absolutely nothing illegal about helping an independent candidate run for office, regardless of what your own motivations, even if you're doing it in hopes of this person being a spoiler. There are a lot of processes that go into running for office and funding candidates and stuff, and you need to follow those. And if you don't, you can obviously run into some problems.
All right, thanks for that, Jason. You can go ahead and stay with OrlandoSentinel.com and Jason for more updates on this and the investigation as it unfolds further. Thanks for that. All right, we're going to head here to Ryan Gillespie. We're going to talk about the FDA and improving the Pfizer vaccine and what this means for the county. Mayor Demings chimed in yesterday, Ryan.
Yeah, what he hopes it means for the county is that more people take it and get vaccinated so we can get through this pandemic once and for all. It's unclear if that's going to happen, but I think all of us probably have somebody, at least somebody in our lives, who has called the vaccine experimental or has complained that it's being used under what's called an emergency use authorization versus full authorization by the FDA. But now at least one of the shots, actually the most widely used shot, is fully approved by the FDA. So as Mayor Demings said yesterday, it's time to see if these people are going to get off the fence.
If you were one of the people who were sitting on the fence because of that, you should be getting off the fence at this point and getting vaccinated. So we'll just have to see if that really was the reason why people were sitting on the fence, or there was some other reason that they were using, and that was just a means to create confusion and conflict within our civilized society.
All right, so Ryan, what we're seeing is a large percentage of those that have been in the hospital for this are unvaccinated, and this is a big concern.
Right. Yeah. The data is pretty clear on this, and it has been through much of this Delta wave that, more than 90% of the people that are in hospital beds around the state, and there are a lot of people in hospital beds around the state, more than almost 17,000 people, more than 90% of them are unvaccinated. Most of the infections, again, like more than 90% of them are in unvaccinated people. So while you maybe have heard of people in your social circles and your family or friends who are fully vaccinated and have become infected, in all likelihood, they have not been serious enough to require hospitalization. And that's important because we've heard from hospital officials around the country and around the state that their systems are strained, that spaces that are usually used for like emergencies or other kinds of surgeries are being used to care for seriously ill COVID patients who, a good percentage of them are going to die from this. That's just the way the numbers work out. In a lot of cases, we can prevent this by simply vaccinating, and that's really been the message from the beginning here from county health officials.
Yeah, while many of the cases for children may not be as severe, it seems concerning that they're actually being affected by this quite a bit right now as well.
It's the largest proportion of new cases in Orange County. Roughly 20% of new infections are people between the ages of 5 and 14, and that's particularly relevant now. I mean, the school year started in Orange County all of 2 weeks ago. And we've been talking for weeks now about, probably more than 1,000 quarantines at this point, a lot of new infections. The school board's due to meet today. Our Leslie Postal is covering that meeting today. You can find coverage on OrlandoSentinel.com later, where likely they will be discussing reinstituting a mask mandate, which would be, bucking state law, and Governor Ron DeSantis, who has pushed a ban on bans, essentially, when it comes to mask mandates. But it looks like the county may take action there. Mayor Jerry Demings actually endorsed a mask mandate of some kind yesterday. He has no say over that. This is a school board decision, but he's a grandparent of 4 kids and has quite a bit of political power here.
I believe that given the current experience with the rate of infection amongst children, I have 4 grandchildren in the Orange County Public Schools, most of them in the elementary age. I believe that some form of mask mandate is appropriate at this time, given our experience.
So he threw that political weight behind it, and things with the infection rates with the youth. and the potential for transmission in schools, that would be a good idea. So we'll see how that plays out later today.
So let's shift gear over to first responders and how this FDA approval goes into it. I know the county has been negotiating as far as vaccinations for firefighters, police officers. Where is this at right now?
So yeah, when Jerry Demings issued a mandate for county employees, that went into effect immediately for non-unionized employees. But the way unions operate is you basically can't change the working conditions without negotiating those at the bargaining table. So that is underway with various unions. Yesterday, the county was negotiating with the union that represents its firefighters. And at least some of them, I'm admittedly a little unclear on where that stands at the moment. It's something that we're trying to get a handle on, but at least some of them appear opposed to this vaccine mandate. So I'm not quite sure how maybe robust that group is, but we're trying to get a handle on that. The mayor did say that they've reached a in his words, tentative agreement with the union that represents its corrections officers to go forward with this vaccine mandate. Certainly the jail has been hit very hard by this pandemic. They've had at least 2 corrections officers pass away in recent weeks due to the Delta variant. So it looks like they will move forward on a vaccine mandate, and it kind of remains to be seen where we're at with the firefighters.
All right. Well, thanks for that update, Ryan. You can read his story right now on orlandosentinel.com and keep up to date with him as the days unfold as well. Appreciate that. All right. Well, that's all our topics for today. We're going to go ahead and push pause till tomorrow, but appreciate you being with us. Until next time, I'm Rich, Jason, and Ryan. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Watch Orlando Sentinel Now live every weekday at noon on our Facebook page and on orlandosentinel.com.